All right, it's Mark and Ann, and we are back. We have another blog talk today. How you doing, Ann?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Well, what are we blog talking about today?
We're going to talk about early signs of dementia.
Okay, excellent. So look forward to this. It will be a short one, and it'll be to the
Yeah.
point. So let's count this down and get this going.
Okay.
All right. Well, as we know, this is quite the topic, and it really is going to be
Yes.
a topic that continues to unfortunately grow, as a lot of us, including yourself with your own mama and me with my mom, a lot of people face this, and this is not anything to be intimidating. There's times we all have moments, me all the time, to where you walk into a room and like, what in the world
Yeah.
did I come in here for?
Uh-huh.
But anyway, Anne wrote this blog on some possible early signs of dementia. So, Anne, just take it away and let's go through this
Okay.
blog and discuss it a little bit.
Yep. Great. Let's do this. When you're talking about early signs, just what you're saying, Mark, we all have moments when we walk in and we don't know what I come in this room for, or good Lord, what I
Mhm.
do with my car keys, and all those kind of things. They make those little key hangers by your door for a reason because everybody does that.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're talking about. Those are everyday occurrences that happen to everybody. That kind of thing. And even just memory loss in itself doesn't mean you necessarily have dementia.
Good point.
Dementia is going to really upset your life. It changes everything. You know better than I with all you've been through with your mom. But it does. It completely changes and interferes with just your everyday life.
Hmm.
So let's just zip down through and talk about some of
Okay.
these real quick because we just want to get this information out today real fast.
Okay.
Um, but people with just some short term memory changes and having difficulty remembering current events and next to past events, and a lot of times they may remember something in the past better than they do what's going on right now. Those kind of
Mhm.
things. When it starts to happen on a more frequent basis, and that's when you really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Um, and really start to watch what's really going on. When they get to a point where they can't really articulate their thoughts, if you'll remember when we did our show with Tipa,
Hmm.
I told her at one point during this, I don't want to talk to you anymore because I knew what she was talking about. When you talk about, we want to go down there to that place, where we go eat, and you can't come up with the
Yeah.
words,
Well,
and
and
those kind of things.
yeah, also yesterday at the Rotary, we had Robin Reed. She's from the Alzheimer's Association in
Mhm.
Atlanta, and she's a program manager. And she was talking, and they were sharing how when you go and you do that sort of cognitive pre-test,
Yeah.
and at the beginning of the test, they'll tell you like five words, and
Yeah.
then later,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't remember someone's name right when I shake their hands and meet them. So how am I going to remember five
Yeah.
words?
Yeah.
So I'm just being upfront. Like, I don't want to go take that
I
test because
know.
I would fail just off the five words. But again, I think it
Yeah.
goes deeper than that. Those are just little,
Yeah. Well,
things that
and
are
and
done.
truthfully, I mean, even in the nursing home, when they're doing cognitive evals and assessments,
Mhm.
one of the things they do is ask them to repeat 3 words, and it's usually
Okay.
like blue sock bed.
Uh,
And now it gets comical sometimes because 'cause you'll have residents when you walk in their room that say, "Blue sock bed, leave me alone." I don't wanna talk about it. So, yeah, it's kinda funny, but yeah, they do, and it is a little scary. That's why I said, "Teep, I don't wanna talk to you anymore,"
yeah,
because it's a little
exactly.
scary. So anyway, but finding those words and trying to really articulate your thoughts on those things.
Hmm.
Changes in mood, including increased feelings of depression. They tend to get angry a lot quicker than
Hmm.
what they've ever been, and some of that anger may be coming from because they can't articulate words or
Mhm.
those kind of things, and it's aggravating for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But changes in their mood and those kind of things are things to really watch for. Depression, when they really start to get quiet, and that
Yeah.
is one of the things. And then apathy could set in, resulting in decreased interest in hobbies, social interactions. You hear people describe a lot of times that flatness, and they just have
Mhm.
no expression.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're talking about when you're looking at the apathy and what can happen there, with no interest in hobbies that they've always had. They don't want to go to church anymore. They've always
Right.
loved the women's group or the men's group, and they don't want to participate anymore.
Yeah.
So looking at that, tasks become harder to complete, such as managing finances, following
Mhm.
instructions, participating even in activities, and just following simple directions can really start to become an issue for them. And you have to watch, because all of us, and golly, my family would probably pick on me worse than anybody else, but they'll make fun of me because I'm like, "Wait a minute, I don't get that." Start over, tell me again. So yeah, but that doesn't mean, and no, that does not mean I have dementia right now. Remains to
Yeah.
be seen. But just the trying to follow those things, doing their finances really gets to be a big deal for them to
Yeah.
manage their finances.
Right.
Just a really quick story, because I love my stories, but just a real quick story. I actually did
I
have
love your stories too, Ann.
I did have a gentleman, true story, that a very dear friend of mine, Rebecca Harris,
Mhm.
she'll remember him well. And she and I talked with he and his son, and we were trying so hard to help his son to get him to the assisted living. We finally got him there, and I will tell you that he left, and the police were in the parking lot when he did. I'm not going into that story, but
Mhm.
regardless, when he came to us, the son was so worried because his dad had land,
Okay.
and I don't remember what it was, 10 acres, 50 acres, whatever it was, and it does matter because it was the amount of money he got when he sold it. But he
Mm.
sold the house, the land, and went and bought a $60,000 pickup truck. It never dawned on him that he didn't have where to live.
Wow. Like,
And
for
when
real?
he left us, he was going right back to where he had lived, but he didn't have a home. So,
Wow.
yeah, it
Okay.
got kinda crazy. But they start doing things like that that don't make any sense, but you could not convince him that there was something wrong.
Yeah, mom does that frequently. She'll say, because we're in Jonesboro. She's like,
Yeah,
"When
yeah,
you're wanting to move back to Jonesboro." And
yeah,
so real quick, and I always want to throw in these little, like, the tips that we learn, and some
right,
things to learn how to do is, don't sit there and go, "What are you talking about? You're in Jonesboro." I'm just like, whenever you're ready to move, I'm ready to go with you.
right. Exactly,
So it's
exactly.
strange how they go back to, and she does it a lot.
Yeah,
And that, common thing you hear, ask you the same thing 4 or 5 times within 2 minutes,
yeah,
so, but
yeah,
that's part of it. I
yeah. My
mean,
husband says I do, but who cares
yeah,
what he says? So,
well, alright, let me tell you, I got it. Okay, Mark
another
story time.
story.
Yep. Speaking of not listening and wondering, my wife always says I have man ears, to where you can.
Yeah.
So we were at a, family house. We used to go to the First Baptist Church in Jonesboro, and this was years back. And they used to have the living Christmas tree,
Yeah.
and it was huge. It was
Mhm.
gigantic. And so, of course, they had to have steps and ladders for the choir members
Mhm.
to get up top. And so, anyway, someone fell out of the tree and got
Oh.
hurt. So, anyway, we
Ooh.
were, at a little social event at some people's houses, and we're all getting ready to leave. And we're all in the foyer, me and Donna and two other couples, and they're talking. And then I said, "Man, isn't that something what happened with that woman falling out of the tree?" And they all stopped and looked at me like I was from Mars, and they said, "We're just talking about that."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I have to admit, I do actually do that. to
So,
Alan.
so
So I
see,
do.
Ann and I are sharing. These are just, possible,
Yeah, right.
signs. So
Yeah,
those are
these are
just things
yeah,
that
and it
happen.
says that. It says possible early
Possible. Yeah.
signs. So, yeah,
Yeah. So
we're
anyway,
just not gonna claim that. We're just not gonna claim that. So anyway,
exactly.
but yeah, so but the task becoming harder to do and managing finances, and you really do have to watch that. And then again, participating in activities. Confusion may arise regarding time, location, recognizing familiar faces. And I think
Mhm.
we all know that, and you kind of expect that
Yeah.
because you know that when people start not recognizing people, and those kind of that they should know. Now, if you hadn't seen somebody in years,
Yeah.
then I mean, heck, don't expect me. I look at people I went to high school with and say, "I know, I know that person.
I'm
I just can't
saying,
come up with a name,"
yep. Yep.
and so it's a little different. It's people that they should know and
Yeah.
recognizing that. And then this is to me a big one too, following storylines like you just couldn't do, Mark, and follow the storyline. But following storylines, whether it's a TV program, conversations,
uh,
and they've just become a little more challenging for them. But I think what you will notice more is that they get quieter.
yeah.
They don't necessarily pop up like you did and say, "Hey, wasn't that something about that?" Where you're
Yeah.
just a little behind in the conversation and you were off squirreling somewhere,
Yeah.
in your own mind. But they really just don't participate in conversation because they can't follow it or they can't follow a television program,
Yeah.
and those kind of things. So just watching for those kind of things. Um, when they start to struggle with their sense of direction, this is another
Mm.
one that I think people really tend to recognize quick with someone with dementia or having even memory problems, whatever it might be, is them losing the sense of direction. And I'm talking about things like I always went to church. I've gone to the same church, my entire life, and all of a sudden I can't remember how to get there.
And that would have to be terrifying when you start. You're
Yeah,
you're you're aware of realizing it's happening. Then you kind of know, okay, I have
yeah.
something going on. That would be terrifying.
Yes, it would. And I'll just to throw this in as you mentioned that, I have said to families over the years, because you're right, people want to say, like your mom, "When are we going to Jonesboro?" We're already in Jonesboro. You have to get in their world to help guide them through where they are. You
Yeah.
can't bring them. They can't come to your world.
Yeah.
You just can't do that with them. And so, fussing at them's not going to do a bit of
No.
good. You don't need to do that. Um, and so when they start to struggle with where am I and where am I going and all those kind of things, then I think Tipa gave an example with you when we kind of role played a minute with her
Hmm.
there about saying things like that place where we want to go eat or whatever, and
Yeah.
saying, what, I can't think of the name of it either, but I bet let's get in the car,
Yeah.
let's go do,
Right.
and that kind of thing. And that's, we're still talking early stages, to be able to do those things. But
Hmm.
get into a grocery store, and I was starting to say, the one thing that I really hope people remember if they start getting into their parent or loved one, whoever might have some dementia going on, is that if you think it's annoying or it kind of bothers you, put yourself in their shoes,
Yeah.
because it has got to be scary
Hmm.
to all of a sudden look around the room and not really know who all these people are,
Yep.
or not know where you're going. So yeah, very scary stuff when they do that. Um, and then let's see, repetition of tasks, questions, stories become more frequent, memory
Hmm.
issues progress. We all know that. Being repetitive about things. They just went and brushed their teeth, and now they're going back to brush their teeth again.
Yeah.
Just couldn't even remember that they just did that. Just those little things like that. Adapting to change might become daunting with individuals that are starting to have some memory lapses, forgetting people or reasons for their actions. And again, you walk into a room and why am I walking into this room? Why did I even come in here? I personally don't chalk that up to you and I. and most people, as being, oh my gosh, they got dementia or early stages. I
Yeah.
always just say, well, it's brain overload, because we all have too much going on in our lives now
Well,
anyway.
yeah, we've been conditioned too with
Yeah.
technology. Everything is shorts and reels and all that. So I've even noticed I have a harder time actually, reading. Like if you read the
Mhm.
Bible or a book or whatever, I used to sit down and read a book, and I find my attention span is shorter. It's just
Yeah.
we're being conditioned just with the technology and stuff.
Yeah. 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 We are. And then poor judgment may become apparent, leading to risky decisions like selling everything and buying a $60,000 pickup truck.
Hmm.
Yeah, those are not good decisions. Actions that don't align with their normal and their usual behavior, that you see them do, and making unsound financial choices. Just another quick true story, nothing to do really with the financial piece, but talking about not making safe decisions. And this is not just about the person not making a safe decision, but it's about loved ones and us paying attention to
Hmm.
what they're doing. So I had a family. They were actually in South Georgia, and they wanted their dad, they felt like, needed to have another level of care and might
Hmm.
need to move into either assisted living, nursing home, that kind of thing. Well, sister was all about it. Brother was not. He didn't want to discuss it at all. And his reason for it, and this is what got me so tickled with him, was because he said, Dad just walked the other day over to your house by himself. And her response was, exactly. He walked 2 miles through a pasture
Mm.
by himself. He didn't tell mom he'd left the house. Nobody knew where he was. Uneven ground, could have fallen in a ditch,
Yeah.
anything. But to him, it was just and didn't know why he got there. When he got there, why he was even there,
Yeah.
and what he had done. So just those unsafe decisions, like doing that, going out in the middle of the night. I mean, come on. We know
Yeah.
that's not safe, and do those kind of things. So just watching for those kind of things. And a lot of that is just paying attention, and seeing if it's something that happens more than once. Now, if somebody's getting up at midnight and walking out of the house, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the memory things and things like that, just watching to see if it happens more than one time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our quick blog talk, and thanks
Yep.
for going over that. And
Yep.
again, we acknowledge how difficult these things are, and so I think it's just as important for the family members and the loved ones to learn about this as well, because it's a
Mhm.
challenge to adapt to these things. There's a lot of emotions that come up, so I
Yes.
think it's important that we all take the time
Yeah.
to lean on and learn as much as we can of how to handle and how to make it easier on our loved ones.
Yep.
If we feel like that it's something that's happening to ourselves, just being proactive. And I think, it gets back to some simple things of brain health, and trying to stay healthy
Mhm.
with your mind, and, exercising, whether it's simple as going for walks. There are ways to prevent doing puzzles, make your brain work, because we have, like we had mentioned earlier, I don't remember phone numbers anymore because we just
Yeah.
mash the picture in our phones now. We don't remember numbers. And so
Yeah.
we have to make up for the difference, to force ourselves to do things for our
Mhm.
minds. But again,
Yeah.
and Mark and Ann, we have lots of stuff coming. Man, good Lord, the shows that you
Gosh, yeah.
booked this week has been incredible. So
Yeah,
again,
I'm really excited. I hope everybody will stay tuned, and, maybe we can get something out there, Mark, that tells them what's upcoming, that kind of thing.
yeah.
But, yeah, we've got some good people coming on. We've actually got, you mentioned you met, the program manager with Alzheimer's Association,
Hmm.
and I have spoken to the same position program manager, in Middle Georgia area,
Yeah.
and she is coming in October. She's going to come on,
Okay.
and I will go ahead and say, just to help start that off, please support Alzheimer's Association.
Hmm.
It is a wonderful, wonderful cause, and they have a walk coming up on
Yes. There's what? Yeah.
October the 19th.
Yeah.
So we need to support that, and we'll have more information when she comes on the show, in October. But we've got several coming on. We've got scams, abuse,
Yeah.
We've got Seth coming back to talk with
Mhm.
us about some probate issues and
Yep.
some important healthcare documents and things like that. So we've even got some others, and I just can't even think because I've got so many booked right
Yeah,
now.
you've got
But
a
good stuff.
you've been
So
burning the trails with that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
again, yeah, please subscribe to the channel, share the channel because CareQuest is going more and more towards the dementia side of things and knowledge and training, and it's an
Mhm.
important topic. So there'll be a lot more content focusing on that. So with that said, it's Mark and Ann, and we will see everybody on the next show.
Great.
See you
Thanks.
later.